So a bunch of new Obamacare numbers are out. Jack mentioned to us before that, what was it, like 3/4 of people who are on Obamacare like it?
Yeah.
And we discussed...
Love it, actually.
Well, we discussed the fact that the vast majority of people who went through the exchanges are heavily subsidized, and most of those have never actually tried to go to a doctor yet. So, you got to take that number with a grain of salt.
A lot of them are going to have super high premiums next year and don't know it.
Well, and a lot of them, as we also discussed, are going to have to go with a completely... Yes?
Deductibles, not premiums.
Right.
I don't want to make that mistake because, God dang, the number of people that email, tweet, and Twitter say, I'm on Obamacare and I'm only paying this much a month. What's your freaking deductible? What's your freaking deductible? Jeez.
It's the voice of righteous indignation there, folks. And a lot of people are going to have to get a completely new plan with a new tiny network of doctors who won't see them next year and probably every year for the rest of their lives, which is just awful. But anyway.
According to the New York Times, that might be the future. Bloomberg
has polled people's attitudes toward... I'm sorry, Gallup. Bloomberg published this, but Gallup says 37% of Americans approve of Obamacare. 37%, that's the lowest yet. It's down a little.
So when you poll everybody, including the people paying for it, it's 37%. If you just ask the people that are getting the cheap health care paid for by the rest of us, it's overwhelmingly popular. Well, yeah, I would hope so.
There's a shock.
I would hope so.
55% of Americans now say they disapprove of the law, and the remaining 8% have never heard of Jonathan Gruber, just like Nancy Pelosi, I guess. They have no opinion. Please don't vote.
55% now disapprove of the law.
That is correct, sir.
Wow, that's interesting. So that's a political win.
Well, and there's a growing belief that the Supreme Court may smash certain critical aspects of the law and it'll just crumble. But Craig, the Obamacare lawyer, as always, is absolutely on this stuff, and he sent along an article from the New York Times that he actually saved as a PDF. Because the Times is known to, more than occasionally, publish something critical of the administration, then it disappears 8 hours later.
Happened over the weekend, as I was talking about yesterday. Do they do that so that they can then claim we covered that?
Well, because my hallmark is, I'm not even going to let Vince ask or answer what my hallmark is. Because my hallmark is intellectual honesty, I will tell you sometimes it's just because websites are so constantly rejiggering their format and what's up top and what's where. Sometimes you just can't find something 8 hours after it was the lead story. And then, 10 minutes later, you finally track it down. And there it is, buried. But anyway, it is also because they get enormous pushback from the administration. And if you want to keep getting access, you got to cooperate. You got to play ball a little bit. Read Mark Leibovich's This Town.
I'm sure when you're in the New York Times and you've got on Saturday morning a negative Obama story, you get a phone call at the highest level of the New York Times.
Oh, yeah.
From people very high up people who talk to the president.
And 45 seconds after it appears on the website, too, which has got to be disconcerting. Hey, Jack, the White House is on the phone for you.
I expected that.
Yeah. But so the headline in the New York Times was Healthcare Law Recasts Insurers as Obama Allies. And it mentions later in the article that, insurance companies, generally speaking, lean a little Republican. But here's your opening paragraph. Well, your opening paragraph is silly. I'll skip to the next one. President Obama is depending on, more than ever, on the insurance companies that 5 years ago he accused of padding profits and canceling coverage for the sick. Those same insurers have long viewed government as an unreliable business partner that imposed taxes, fees, and countless regulations, had the power to cut payments and cap profit margins. But since the Affordable Care Act was enacted in 2010, the relationship between the Obama administration and insurers has evolved into a powerful, mutually beneficial partnership that's been a boon to the nation's largest private health plans and led to a profitable surge in their Medicaid enrollment. Let me bottom line it for you with the assistance of certain little elves. There is a system of gigantic subsidies and bailouts. Taxpayer money is flowing like it's coming out of a fire hose to insurance companies. They're getting to sign up millions of new customers, subsidized by taxpayers. Any loss they take will be bailed out by taxpayers. And if they end up, and they have and they will end up, enrolling a lot of sick people and not nearly as many of those young, strong 22-year-olds who are allegedly going to sign up, then the taxpayers will bail them out for all of that, too. So the insurance companies have been bought for an enormous amount of money. I'd have gone for the same deal by the Obama administration, but only through 2017, when that program is set to expire. Carriers are quietly telling certain elves that the only reason they're buying businesses in the exchanges is because of those bailouts, and the second they end, they're out. And they're not out a little, they're way out, running as fast as they can in the other direction.
Okay, fine, but we'll be so far down the road at that point, the political question will be, do you want to be the party that's going to kick off however many million people from their health care?
No.
Nobody's probably going to want to run on that, and so the Obamacare people will have accomplished what they wanted to accomplish.
Well, they'll have accomplished some of it, and I have no problem with them accomplishing some of it. It's the gargantuan, all-encompassing nature of the law that's always bothered me. But it's a good thing I took out my intellectually honest hat, because it's right here still. I'll put it on again. If the Republicans aren't able to come up with a way to satisfy or to retain and improve the parts of the law that are very, very well regarded, and carefully, surgically chuck the rest in a way that makes sense. If they can't do that, well, they'll have a fabulous 2-year run in charge of both houses of Congress, and they'll get booted out on their asses, probably appropriately.
That'd be my prediction.
Well, yeah, probably so. But if you talk to insurers behind the scenes, they will tell you, oh, my God, this thing it's a diseased pig. I mean, it's just, this is a horror. But we're getting tons of money. Second it ends, we're out.
I wonder what it's going to end up like on the other end of all this, if not just straight out universal health care. But we're going to go through a couple-year period where it's going to be ugly for a lot of us.
Well, actually, that's a really good point you make, because if the Republicans mishandle it as badly as, well, they probably will, then it could be we get momentum for universal British-style health care. Yeah. If they can handle it skillfully, probably not.
Boy, it's such a complex issue, and people don't pay attention. And I mean, it's hard to understand, even if you are paying attention.
Right. Plus, people are so forgetful these days. I mean, Jonathan Gruber, who's that? You see that even in Washington,